Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Onyeka Oderiri. It's quite unfortunate that predominantly in this country, we have people, this is Nigeria, who so much crave for power, for authority, for positions, but without also the accompanying hunger and desire to learn skills, to have knowledge, and to be responsible for the positions of power and authority that they crave. It's quite unfortunate. People see positions and power and authority as just avenues for them to ingratiate themselves, steal, loot, fill their pockets, and subjugate those who are under them to slavery, servitude, and every kind of dehumanizing antics. That is why we are not making any progress. You have people who are always scheming to be given positions and authority, yet they have no skills, they have no knowledge, and they have not even burning passion and desire to seek for knowledge and to acquire knowledge. You see it everywhere. You see it in every facet of our national life. You see it in the political space. You see it in the practical space. I'll give you an example. I started my postgraduate career firstly, as a corporate training secretary with Nigeria Evangelical Society. I was the treasurer of NIFES Cardinal Zone, that Northwest Zone, Cardinal Zone that covers Cardinal Kano. And my job then was to provide skills and training and, also to support the office in terms of the gospel dissemination. I was covering about 4 tertiary institutions, including Nigerian Defense Academy and Kaduna. And one of the things I learned working under Pastor Bayokola Wale as my discipler is that there can be no power, there can be no authority without responsibilities. In fact, for you to even serve, for you to be able to even supervise, you must even understand what you're supervising. You must be able to understand, have basic understanding of what you're even looking after. When I left youth service, I went back to university as a graduate assistant, nominated as a graduate assistant in the university, Department of Banking and Finance, Administration University. And I was there. And after about 16 months, I decided to go into mainstream banking, investment banking. In fact, I have always been fixated with becoming an investment banker. While in the university, some of my best courses were those that have to do with project finance, corporate finance, project management, and all the rest of them. I've always studied and seen investment bankers as creative minds, those who look outside the conventional ways of doing things to do things that are exotic, structuring things, complex problems that conventionally people will not want to touch. Lo and behold, I have to leave a job, leave a position, and took a pay cut to go into mainstream banking. And when I came into an investment banking firm, one of the things I did was I knew clearly from the scriptures, Joseph did not just become prime minister because he became prime minister or because his father was from Egypt or whatever. Joseph became prime minister because from the place of knowledge. He was able to understand, even know the dreams of the king, of course, by divine wisdom, interpret the vision. And of course, the king knew clearly there are 3 things that must follow for you to have a successful project. You must understand the vision. You must be able to interpret the vision, and you must be able to execute the vision. Moses had a vision of how to build tabernacle, but Moses did not have the skills to build those vision. He understood how he was able to interpret the vision that God showed him at the mount. And of course, he went about looking for those with skills to enable him execute that vision that God showed him. Of course, he was able to tap into the goodwill of the people who donated and contributed. When they got to the budget, he had a budget. Moses had a BOQ of what he wanted to do. When the people contributed amount of gold and silver that was enough and adequate to build, he told them to stop. He did not go asking them to contribute more. And of course, he got the professionals and the skillful men, and they built according to that vision, the pattern God showed him. And when they were done building, Bible says the glory of God tabernacle. The glory of God will always set upon anything that was done well and done properly. So Joseph was very skillful, and the king made him prime minister. And for 80 years, he helped build one of the most prosperous kingdoms then. The same thing in Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar gathered and destroyed Jerusalem. picked all the skillful guys and everything, brought hundreds of thousands of people into captivity. But while in captivity, 4 young men, very young men, of course, they went to the University of Babylon and they were found 10 times more qualified than the rest. And Bible says concerning Daniel, he was diligent, he was very selfless, he was honest, he was very creative. There was no assignment that was given to him that he did not deliver optimally. He was made the chief prince of all the 120 princes, and he delivered. The same thing, I left. But when I joined mainstream banking, when I joined banking, investment banking, the first thing I did, I was always the first to resume at my workplace and the last to go. And I was always hungry to learn. And interestingly, I saw mentors. The first GM of the famous Icon Merchant Bank was there. Some former GMs of ABC Merchant Banks were there. I left those who were supervising me and I went to them. I was only going to them to ask. I was always inquisitive. In fact, what I did was that some of them, I asked them to give me the floppy disk of works they did, even when I was still less than 10 years. Works they did in the 80s, even when I was still less than 10 years old. I asked them, the works they did when I was still a baby. I asked them, I will collect those floppy disks. I will put those floppy disks in the desktop computer. When we'll close work by 5, 6, I will spend, it was 55 Broad Street. I will spend extra 4 hours studying their work, looking at what they did, asking questions, and everything. In fact, I only leave the bookshop house because normally shut down your by 10 o'clock. By the time that shutting down your I will just pack my things and start going back to Oba, Ikeja. And of course, I use those times to while away time, study, while waiting for traffic to subside. I am always in the office before 6 o'clock, so that before official time of resumption by 8 o'clock, I will have taken 2 hours to study. I was busy digesting, asking questions. And those men found me so interesting that sometimes when they are going for some very important meetings, they will tag me along. They will carry me along and I will go. And I will sit in meetings where I'm not even supposed to sit. Because there was that passionate desire to learn. Well, how much was the salary then? 25,000. And I was practically spending about 16,000 on transport. I took out time. In less than how many? In a very short period of time. Under the masters, I learned what on the order of my colleagues could learn in 10 years. Following the normal ladder. At the time, the MD was asking me, say, you're a very unique young man. You're not after the money. It's not after me. All you are seeking is new knowledge. You're always asking questions. My boss will give me assignment to do. By the time he sits down, I'm giving him back the assignment. I have finished it. He will come again. In fact, the guy called me, my boss called me a slave driver. Because he has never seen somebody who you give work before you sit down. He has gone to do the work, go extra mile, and he's bringing it down to you, asking you for more work. And that was me. I'm not exaggerating it. But today, what you see, people are only after. They are seeing the good side. They are only seeing the big cars. They are seeing the pomp and pageantry of power. They are not looking at the responsibilities. They are not looking at those things that go with having those powers and authority. Service. Excellence, learning, knowledge, skills. You cannot be a good leader without being, first of all, a good servant. And you cannot serve without knowledge and going extra miles. And when you are given an assignment, you make mistakes. You must be humble enough to admit your mistakes. I have bosses. I worked under Johnson Chukwu, the current GMD of Kauri Asset. You can find out he was one boss I love so much. Still tomorrow, just remain my eternal boss. The guy trained me, allowed me unfettered access to, hone my skills. Even when I make mistakes, I cry and go back and say, okay, I've made mistakes. He will always protect me. He will always, because he knew that those mistakes were from a place of burning desire and passion to add value. Until today, there is no place I ever worked that my bosses today, I don't have very excellent relationship with them. Because I added value, tangible value. You cannot work in a place and you're not adding value. Joseph added value in the kingdom of Egypt. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, added value. Why do we so much quest for power, for authority, for position, for declarity, without first of all desiring for the responsibilities and service and knowledge and skills that goes with such positions? Seest thou a man knowledgeable and diligent in his works and his chosen profession, he will sit before kings and not before Ifule men. Look at Dr. Michael Obara, 39-year-old medical doctor. He became premier. Of course, he took up the books that Zeke wrote, Renaissance Africa. He dissected them and he understood the vision and the dream and he wanted to execute it. And he was handed over the old Eastern region, made up of today the nine states, Imo, Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, the Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, and Bayelsa State. 39-year-old medical doctor. He wasn't trained as an economist. The first thing he did was to seek consultants and those who understood. And he, of course, being a medical doctor, is a very sharp-minded person. So it was easy for him to learn and understand. Not some of these lodos we have today who can barely even pass WAEC. He studied. He worked with them, developed a massive blueprint. And in 7 years, he built over 214 kilometers agro-industrial belt. The southeastern, the old eastern economy was the fastest growing in the whole of the Commonwealth. He had more revenue waterfall than the northern region and the other regions. And when he went into exile, he had nothing. He did not steal. He did not loot. While he was in exile, was when people gathered his friends to build the little house he has in Umuahia today. Michael died empty. In 7 years, he poured out his life. Selfless, knowledgeable, skillful. He had a vision. Put affordable food on the table of every indigenous of the old Eastern region and create value for his people. Michael is in immortality. He's in heaven. He's looking down on us. I am sure sometimes when he looks down, he will be weeping at the kind of mess we've turned this place to. It's not just enough to blame the politicians. In your own little corner, what are you doing? What value are you bringing to the table? Why do we always love power, love authority, love positions? But we don't know that power and authority comes with compassion, with diligence, with honesty, with service. It's not to steal and loot like the devil. It's only the devil and the sons of devils that convert power and authority to enable them steal, kill, and destroy. Those who are of God, they rise to power. No, they don't even covet it. Power is bestowed onto them from the place of service, from the place of knowledge and skills. God have mercy on us all.